Sounds good. And Paul was telling me that you guys haven't been busy at all recently, so he said I could take as long as I needed to on your break here before you guys had to go back to work. We kind of got a wide group, so if you can't hear something that I'm saying, just interrupt me, tell me you can't hear me. Sometimes I talk a little fast, tell me to slow down if you can't understand me. A little bit about this training. A few years back, maybe 3-4 years ago, our department changed how we did tactics when we respond to active shooter events. And that training developed into, okay, we need to teach other people in the community what they should do if there's an active shooter event, because people don't know. A little bit about me before we begin. Community service officer with our department when I was in college, so 2004 to 2006. As an intern, where you do anything and everything they tell you to do, you just say yes, sir. In 2006, that led to me getting hired as a police officer at the Fond du Lac Police Department. I worked patrol for the last 9 years. I was on day shift, night shift, second shift, all of them. During that time, I had the opportunity to become a crisis intervention officer. That's an officer who helps other officers when they're dealing with somebody who's in crisis. Maybe they're suicidal, maybe they have a mental health issue that they're dealing with at the time. They call us down to assist with that. I'm an evidence technician in our department. I'm one of 3. It's not nearly as cool or fun as what you see on CSI on TV. It's actually very tedious and boring. And another officer warned me once never to do that, and I didn't listen to him. He was wise, and he retired, a couple of years ago. And I've been regretting that decision ever since. It's a lot of work. The coolest job in our department is SWAT. That's my opinion. I've been on the SWAT team for the last 5 years. By far the best thing that I could do as a department. And then most recently of January, I became a crime prevention specialist. And you may say to yourself, Officer Foster, what is a crime prevention specialist? I will tell you, it's just like being an intern. You do anything and everything other people want you to do, and you find a way to get it done. Real quick, my family. My lovely wife, Alicia. The little girl there, that's Cora. She's almost 8. She acts like a typical 7-year-old. If you tell her to clean her room, she's singing and dancing circles, just not paying attention. The next daughter up there is Ava. She's 10. She's 15. She's reading my hairline receding. And then the little guy up top, that's Levi, and he just turned 3. And that is exactly how we are every day. He's punching me, hitting me. He's at a very awkward height right now for hitting. But we're working on that with him. Last night he actually woke up, came into my bed, and he's just sitting there with his hands on my face, touching me, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's 4 in the morning, we need to go to sleep. So, my family, we'll get into more of that in a little bit. April 20th, 1999, who knows what happened that day? Columbine. And during Columbine, the law enforcement officers that responded in such a way that there was a huge national outcry. Does anybody remember what they did? When they responded, they set up a perimeter, as they're trained to do. They've been trained like that for 40 years, set up a perimeter around the school. And they're waiting for who to come? SWAT. Waiting for SWAT to come. SWAT can take 20 to 30 minutes just to deploy from the department. They've got to get the phone call. They have to get suited up, grab their gear, get in something to load them, drive to wherever it is, have the game plan, and then go in. The entire time that that's happening, that they're waiting for SWAT, people were dying inside that school. So, from that, in 2000, Texas University, along with a couple other departments, came up with this advanced law enforcement training to change tactics. How do we do it? Now, our department has changed tactics since that time. From 2000, we did things called diamond formations to try to be better at it. And it was still, we got on scene in an active shooter event, we need to wait for 4 other officers before we go in. Well, then 3 years ago, we went to this alert school. Every officer in our county has been trained in it, how to respond to it, and it's now, I'm going in if I'm the first one there. Patrol's got to go in those situations. SWAT isn't even going to make it there until after it's done. That's just how the reality is. So with that, that's where this training came from. What do you guys do while we're responding? How do you best survive something like this? In saying that, this training is not specific to one type of building, one type of place. It's designed to be used in a movie theater, in the mall, in your workspace, at your house. You can use it anywhere. There are going to be some videos we're going to watch in here. If they bother you, because some of them are difficult to watch, you can step outside and I'll come out and get you after the video's done, let you know to come back in. A brief outline of what we're going to talk about. Disaster response psychology. I promise I will try to make that more entertaining than what that sounds like. Active shooter events, and then finally civilian response to active shooter events. You will never hear me name any of the people who caused any of the tragedies we're going to talk about. Part of the reason that they do these things is because in life they didn't succeed, they didn't like where they were, and they're trying to get the fame and notoriety of something after they're dead. We're going to do our best as law enforcement to try and not let them have that. We try to remember the victims of these tragedies. Disaster response is the background science of how people behave in high-stress events. Studies were done since 2000 and at Texas University that every human being goes through 3 stages when a disaster happens. This isn't just active shooters. This is somebody with a knife, a tornado, anything that could kill somebody in a disaster. They go through denial, deliberation, and decisive movement. And what they found was the people who got through those 3 stages fast, the fastest, and then made the best decision at decisive movement are the ones that survived. Going back, talk to people. Why did they survive and someone else didn't survive? So the first thing is getting through that denial. When you hear a gunshot, what do you think it is? Maybe it's around summertime. You hear a gunshot outside. You think it's a gunshot and it changes to what? Firecracker, firework, a car backfiring, right? That's denial. Our brains don't like to think of things that are scary. They don't like events that don't fit into our existing plans. So they change it into something that our brain likes. Fireworks. A gunshot is a gunshot. And the first thing we need to do is realize it's a gunshot. If you hear fireworks going off inside this building, does that make sense? Is that normal? No. So you can't think, well, was that a firework? You need to treat it like it's a gunshot. Get through denial. When the World Trade Centers were hit, people were logging off their computers after they'd been told to evacuate the building. Logging off their computers, calling up people on other floors. Hey, what's going on? I heard this. Are you leaving too? Yeah, okay. Shutting stuff down, grabbing the possessions. When they're already told to get out of the building. They were in denial. It wasn't as bad as what everybody thought it was. And that denial costs lives. People die. We need to get through that denial. We watch a video here. It's called Social Proof. It's done in London. And it's basically an experiment on how people react within their groups. This right here is a group. When you're working out in the shop, you have a group. And as humans, we don't like to be outside of that group. If something were to happen in here right now, and I wasn't here, everybody would be looking around, what should we do? Someone comes in, starts acting crazy, goofy, talking odd, everybody's going to look around. Nobody generally wants to be the first person to do something because they don't want to be outside of that group. What I want you to watch for in this is what you would do in these situations. And be honest with yourself. If you're walking down the street, how would you react? Doesn't look like you have QuickTime on this computer.
What?
So there's no QuickTime on this computer? So I'm going to continue without that one. Basically, what it is, and I wish we had the presenter of the video to show you. In the video, people just walk by. Someone's laying, an actor's on the street, laying down. People just continue to walk by. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to get outside the norm. And then a nurse walks by. She sees that somebody's laying on the ground. Something's happening. She hesitates, looks at the person, continues walking. And it's not until somebody else inside that group goes back to her to check on the person that she turns around and comes and helps too, because now that's become the norm. It's okay now. Somebody inside the group is doing something, so now it's okay to act. The point you need to take away from that is, as a group, if nobody does anything, nobody else will tend to do anything. If somebody does one thing, starts leading people, others will follow. It takes one person for that norm to exist. That's fine. It might just be that one video, so we can keep going without that one. And any good presentation has its share of technical difficulties, right? Okay. Go ahead, just play in and out. Yeah. So once we get past denial, we've got deliberation. Get through denial. Gunshots are gunshots. You're going to hear that a lot during this presentation. You hear gunshots. It's not fireworks. It's gunshots. Do something. Now you get to deliberation. When you get to deliberation, there's going to be a stress response in your body. Okay, we have a problem. Something is going on here, whether it's a mall, a restaurant, your workplace, your church. Something is going on. I need to do something. Your stress response goes like this. Right now, you are at condition white, 60 beats per minute. Some of you might be at condition 40 because that's just a common soothing voice, right? So you're way down here. But as you move up, you start getting stressed out. In any disaster kind, you go up to 90 beats per minute in condition yellow. This is where you start losing your fine motor skills. As you move up the scale, you get into condition red, 120 beats per minute. You lose some of your complex motor skills, but something interesting happens right here. You become the fastest and the strongest you've ever been in your life. That is a good place to be. The other interesting thing that happens is, if something happens to you, you will bleed less when you're in condition red. If you continue to move on that scale, you get into condition gray, 150 beats per minute. This is where you start losing your cognitive thought processes. It's hard to say, cognitive thought processes. Okay. That's bad. You can't go there. When 2013, I was shot at down on South Main Street. Somebody shot 30 rounds at me through a trailer. I know I went to condition gray, and I don't, at the time, think to myself, oh man, I'm in condition gray, what should I do? I know I'm not thinking right now. I can't think. My body reacted in a way that I thought I trained for it, I thought of this, I pre-planned this in my head, and it didn't go the way I thought it was going to. I had to sit there and think. I need to slow my breathing down. That's what I've trained to do. We call it combat breathing. In through your mouth, in through your nose for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold it for 4. And then out for 4. Now I can tell you, when you get into that, that out goes up the window, that's when it's cracked. It's not like that at all. It's just trying to slow your heart rate back down. But when I started doing that, I know exactly when I got back into condition red. I could think, I need to move, I'm in a bad spot, what do I do next? It didn't happen until I controlled my heart rate and I brought it back down. If you go all the way up to condition black, that's bad. That's where your body freezes. You're on system overload. Most people avoid the walls at that point. It's a common thing that happens in war. That is bad. You need to be able to think, control your breathing. Our brain has 2 parts to it, the human brain and the lizard brain. Now I didn't make up lizard brain, I'm just using it because that's what was trained in me. But your human brain is what we use all the time. It's part we think with. It's slow, there's a thought process to it. We actually have to sit and think. The lizard brain is fast. It's reactive. And a good example to tell you the difference between the two is if this is a road right here, and there's a bus coming down this road, and I step off this curb into the road, if I use my human brain, it's, oh, that bus is going really fast. I should probably step back off the curb. Yep, I'm going to do that. We don't do that, right? We use our lizard brain. We step off, and boom, that was fast. You're just gone. It's reactive. You don't have to think about it. The neat thing about your lizard brain is you can train it to do other things. Part of how you train your lizard brain is you have to think about stuff. If you're in a restaurant, we're going to use this as the example. You're in a restaurant. You go in to the main door. If something were to happen in that restaurant, what have you trained your lizard brain to do? Which exit are you going to go out of? The main door, right? Because that's when you went in, you trained it. This is where I get in, this is where I get out. If you sit down, you don't think about it again until you need to get out. You can train your lizard brain by going into that restaurant, sitting down and looking, where are my exits? how do I get out? If something were to happen in here right now, where do I go? Because that main door might not be the best place to go when you've got one right next to you. But unless you've looked at it, trained your lizard brain just by looking at it, thinking about it for a second, you're not going to go out that door. Does everybody remember the nightclub fire where the band Great White was playing? Lit on fire, a lot of people died in it quite a few years back. This is a layout of that nightclub. What happened was the band playing on the stage in blue there in the back. They light up some foam over the back of the stage. Without knowing that it's flammable, the stage manager lit off pyrotechnics. It caught the foam on fire and engulfed. It immediately caught on fire. I'm going to show you a video in a little bit where that's already on fire in the back. You'll notice, though, there are 4 exits. Number 1 is the main entrance, where everybody's going in and out, probably paying their cover to get in. Number 3 by the bar, 2 is by the kitchen, and 4 is back by the band. Has anybody seen the other exits here that aren't labeled? Windows? Somebody said windows. A whole row of windows right here. Can you break a window to get out of the building if you had to? Yep. During this fire, 100 people died. Not one person broke those windows out to get out. Their lizard brains weren't thinking. They didn't train. They didn't think about it ahead of time. They knew they had to get out that exit. What exit did everybody try to get out? The main one. And talk about a choke point. A poorly designed exit, and all those people trying to get out at one exit. Now this video was taken because there was some study being done on the dangers of overcrowding in nightclubs. It's very ironic that it happened this night that they were recording. You're going to see the video. When I start it, it's already on fire in the back. You're going to see 2 different things in here, though. The people in the front, towards the band, go through that denial stage much quicker because they're closer. They can see this is bad than the people in the back. What do the people in the back think's going on? Part of the show. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Look at that. Sweet as fire. Cool. Meanwhile, the people in the front are pointing to them to move, get going. That delay costs lives. Pause it real quick. Right back here, this black square in the back, you guys can see it on your screen right there. That's an exit. Who goes through that exit? The band. Why does the band go through that exit?
That's where they came in.
That's where they came in. Their lizard brain was trained, that's my entrance. That's the way out. No one else really comes in there other than the band. Nobody else really goes out of it. They're all going towards that front exit. That's the main exit right there.
It's like nobody. It's like, nobody.
This map was done by the fire department after the investigation was done. Each circle is an area where people died, and inside that circle is how many people died in that area. You'll notice by the front door there in that choke point we talked about, 31 people died in that little space alone. Over by those windows we talked about, so right here and right there, 18 people died. There's windows right next to them. People in the back, to be honest, probably didn't have a chance. They probably didn't realize there was a problem until the fire alarms went on. And you saw the thing was up in flames in 6 minutes, but it was pretty quick. The 7 on the outside are people who died later on from their injuries. So, denial. Get through it. Move on. Something is there's a problem. Now what do? You go to deliberation, calm yourself so you can think. Do that combat breathing. And shift your emotion. When something happens, we are going to be afraid. There's going to be fear. But you know what? Fear is a stupid emotion. It does nothing for us in something like this. I show you the picture of my family before for a reason, and I don't show it in most of my presentations. It's typically just this one. That's my why. That's why I go home at the end of my shift, and everybody in here has why. Something you love. Someone you love. A significant other, a child, something you go home to at night. And in the event of somebody trying to take that away, you need to shift your emotion into anger. Get ticked off because somebody's trying to take that away from you. Get mad about it. Don't be afraid, get mad. Trying to take it away. And then mental scripting. Who in here has kids? Quite a few of you. Teach them this stuff. When I go to the movie theater with my daughter, because it's a kid movie, it's weird if I'm there by myself. In the theater itself, there are 2 exits in the back. Every theater has this. If something were to happen in that movie theater to me, where would my daughters go? They're going to follow everybody out the way they came in, because that's where their lizard brain is trained. They trained it when they walked in. I tell my daughters, if something happens in here, if there's a fire, if someone comes in and does something, I want you to go to those 2 exits right there. And then tell them where to go after that. They're not going to think of it unless you put that in their head. And now that you put it in the head, you train their lizard brain and give them a better chance to survive. I do this at their school too. Think about that. If something happens in your school, I want you to go to this door. I want you to get out. This is the closest one to your classroom. Get out and go here. I don't care what the school says, how they're supposed to handle it. I want my kids to survive. And tell them where to go, how to handle it. Practice that stuff. Script it. Think about it. If you don't think about it, you're not going to when it happens. So now we're through denial and deliberation, we get to decisive movement. That's where we're acting. And you need to act with purpose. This isn't like fire drill. You hear an alarm, oh, there's a fire drill, but you know what? I don't see a fire. Okay? I'll start going. Go where I'm going, lollygag along. There is something going on. Get out of the building and do it now. Act with purpose. This is the definition of an active shooter event as defined by the FBI. I'm not going to read it to you, you can read it yourself. Basically, it's mass killing where there's not an immediate connection to just that one person. Multiple people who are unrelated mass killing. So when you see statistics on the news, in the media, and they're using FBI statistics, this is what they're defining it as to get those. They're not talking about the domestic that spilled over somewhere else, but that connection. They're talking about unrelated mass killings. This map is done by the FBI. It goes from 2000 to 2013. Each dot is an area that a shooting happened, an active shooter, based on that definition. The bigger the dot, the more people shot. Now remember, Columbine happened in 1999. It wasn't the first active shooting event, but it was one of the biggest ones, when America started changing. Watch how the map starts out, and as it goes on, how it speeds up to where we are today, or at least in 2013. 160 in those 13 years. I can only imagine the rate that was going, what it would look like if I had a map up to 2016. I don't have one, unfortunately, but look at that. Look at that. Wisconsin, it can happen here, right? Montana's looking pretty good if you're looking for a relocation. Texas, where I think they actually hand you a gun when you cross the border as a welcoming gift. They're doing all right. But it can happen here. It has happened here. The FBI, who specializes in profiling people, cannot profile an active shooter. We as law enforcement get asked all the time, hey, is there something that we should be training our employees, our students to look for an active shooter, characteristics? I don't have an answer. We don't have an answer because the FBI doesn't even have an answer. There is no profile. Sometimes they have an adventure mindset where they're going to go out with names, sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's broadcasted beforehand on social media, sometimes it's not. The location of attacks are all across the board. It's not one or another. And whether there's even a connection to where the shooting took place and the shooter is about 50-50. Sometimes when there is a connection, it starts at a specific place, they haven't been stopped yet, and they continue moving on to a place without a connection. We can't tell you what to look for. We can't tell you the characteristics. You just have to prepare yourself. What we do know is that the number of deaths in an active shooting situation depend on two things. How quickly police respond and get there, and then target availability. Now, I'm not good at math. I've never been good at math, that's why I'm a cop. But it's simple math with this. If the shooting were to happen in this building, the less people that are in the building after the shooting starts, the less people will die. Makes sense, right? That's where they're getting this from. The more people we can get out, the more people will survive. And the faster we get there, the more people will survive. It takes an average of 3 minutes. It's a national average for law enforcement to respond to an active shooting event. Think about that, 3 minutes. What can happen in 3 minutes? Bang, bang, bang. As fast as you can pull the trigger, right? 3 minutes is a long time. I like to think if I'm like, we're a little smaller town, it would be a little bit less, but you know what? Let's call it 3 minutes. That's from the point that the dispatcher picks up the phone, finds out there's something wrong, puts it into a computer, gets another dispatcher to send it out to a car to start going. The squad car needs to still get there. It's 3 minutes from that point, not 3 minutes from the time it starts, from the time we're notified. For 3 minutes, you're on your own. Wherever you're at, you're on your own. So you need to figure out how to best survive. We learned from statistics, from studies being done, that typically a shooting will stop once a law enforcement officer arrives. And it stops one of two ways. 9 out of 10 times, a law enforcement officer arrives, they're seen, or they shoot, and the shooter takes their life into their own hands. That other 1 out of 10 times, the officer engages and ends it. What happens is that shooter thinks it's a game. Nobody's shooting back. They actually pick places that don't have weapons in there. It's posted, no weapons. That's been proven. They don't want to be shot back, and when they do, it's not fake anymore. It's real. This isn't fun. So 3 minutes, you're on your own. So what do? This is what you do. First goes 9. That's a gunshot. Not fireworks, not a car backfire. Go to deliberation. When you get to deliberation, you don't hide. We used to teach that run, hide, fight. Sound familiar, right? It's gone. It's bad. We've learned from people it's bad. Hiding is just hiding and hoping. There's not much in the world today, inside an office building, inside of a church, inside of a mall, that's bulletproof. Bullets are going to go through most of the stuff in a building now, unless you're talking cinder block walls. Don't hide. If you're hiding, let's say in this room, and I decide, you know what, I'm going to hide under this desk. If someone comes in with a gun, and they're right here now, and I'm hiding under that desk, if I have any chance to defend myself anymore, it's gone. Don't hide. What I want you to try and remember is add, and you're not going to remember that when something happens. Avoid, deny, defend. Well, hopefully you'll remember the concepts of this. The first thing you do is you get out of the building. Avoid. Get out. You hear gunshots, get out. Someone says, hey, there's a shooter in the building. There's someone with a knife in the building. Get out. Don't call us right away to get out of the building. Because if you call us while you're trying to get out of the building, maybe you go to pick up a phone on a desk and you get shot, you call 911, and you're not able to get anything out, that dispatcher's staying on that line with you because that's the policy. They can't hang up the phone. Now they're not answering other 911 calls coming in. We don't know what's going on yet. They may just say it's a 911 hang-up if only one person tried. And then, an officer's slowly coming out here because they're not going to go lights and sirens on a 911 hang-up that we get 15 times a day. Call once you get outside, and once you're outside, you keep going. Because if you're standing outside of an exit with a group of people, and the shooter hasn't been stopped yet, police aren't there, and they come out there, you're just sitting duck there too. You keep going. Call 911 when you're out of the building. This video is about situational awareness, and there's a couple of points I want you to take from it. The first is, it's a video from Panama City school board meeting. A guy comes in, he spray paints an anarchy symbol on the wall. That's a red flag, right? People don't just come in and spray paint in a public building on a wall. Now, before I went to this training, and I was in that meeting, I'd be like, yeah, this is interesting, because that guy's ticked, and these guys are going to get yelled at. I'm probably going to sit around and wait for it, but in today's world, we can't do that anymore. We have to get out. That is not normal. Find out what it was about later. Get out. The second thing I want you to realize from this is you cannot negotiate with somebody who's gone to that extent of bringing a gun in the building to shoot people. Now this guy's ticked off because his wife was a teacher and she got fired, and then he's upset over some tax issues. Do not negotiate with somebody who brings a gun into a building. Get out. I would rather have somebody try to take a moving shot at me while I'm running as opposed to letting them line up a shot at me.
And for the technology for those that's on the chart that you have there, and it's part of the plan we have that workshop we're going to have to follow this meeting, but this will be the first step in that whole process. Everybody in this room. Counter. Hit the road. Please. Certainly. Everyone else leave. Hey, sir. John's just letting him talk. He's talking. John, go ahead. Yes. Is it all right if you help? I'm going to die today. Can we talk for a minute? No. Just hold the person. Can I ask you a question? Or a different person? Can I ask you a question? Because I really don't know who you're talking about, to be very honest with you. I have no idea who you're talking about. She's fired. I believe that. She said that, but what did she do? Oh, yeah. Can you just talk to us a little bit? Where does he work in school? He needs some help, but he's saying, hey, no. Boy, I'm the school safety officer. Well, come on in. You got a real gun there? Come on in. No way, man.
He didn't have his gun with him. He's got to go back and get it right now.
Tell me what she did. You're called the police. I know that. Part of what? Sir, I don't know what you ran. Just to stop taxes, okay? You said we don't need no taxes. No, just plenty of money. Then as soon as you got in the school system, then you turned around and said, oh, now we need to have some sales tax again. I said we need to have some sales tax from the very beginning. I campaigned on that. Oh, yes, I did. You can look on the material. I said from the beginning, the half cent sales tax is the most equitable way because everybody pays it, not just property owners. Let's see. Here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want anybody to, just listen to me for a minute. I don't want anybody to get hurt. And I've got a feeling that what you want is the cops to come in and kill you because you're mad. Because you say you're going to die one day. But why? This isn't worth it. This is a problem. Please no. Please no. Please. All I'm going to do.
He missed every single person he shot at. Now imagine somebody who has a little bit more training with a handgun, lining up shots at his will. Don't wait till that happens. Get out. Something's outside the norm. Get out. Leave the building. Know your exits and then call 911. And then consider secondary exits. We talked about before. Windows, right? You can break them. When you're in condition red and you're stuck somewhere and you can't get out, and you're the fastest and strongest you've ever been, can you break through drywall? Yep, you can. Can you get out of a second-story window? Yeah. Are you going to break something? Could, possibly, but you're not dead. Consider those other exits once you're in there. If you cannot get out, and that's the first thing, is get out. Don't call somebody. Get out, grab someone on the way, they'll probably appreciate you for it, and get out of the building. You can't do that for whatever reason. Your exits are blocked. You go to deny. This isn't hiding. You're denying access to the room you're in. Find a place without a window in it, preferably, where you can barricade the door with the heaviest things you can. Turn the lights off. Door stops are fantastic. Barricade that door. Remember, for 3 minutes, you're on your own. You got to make it for 3 minutes until we get there. If you have an outward opening door, barricade's not going to work. What you can use is a rope. Now, how many people have ropes on them? Not very many people, but in most places in today's day and age, what's very rope-like in most rooms? Extension cords, cables, Ethernet cables, we got a ton of them right here. Belts, most people have belts. You wrap that around the door, and you hold that door shut like this guy is up here. They're not coming through that door. For 3 minutes, you need to survive. If you're, for whatever reason, you haven't had time to barricade, maybe your barricade's breaking down. Police aren't there yet. You go to defend. This is not hiding. This is defending with your life. Somebody is trying to take you away from your life. Get ticked, get angry, use whatever you have on you as a weapon, and you defend for your life. Now that doesn't mean if that's our door back there, that we're all standing over here in the corner. Because if a shooter comes through that door, what's faster, you or a bullet? A bullet, right? You stand next to the door. Stand next to the door so that when they come in, when they're trying to kick that barricade open, you have a chance to grab that gun, grab their hand, point it away from you. If you got a couple people there, great. Somebody grabbed the gun, pointed away, and everybody is fighting for their life. Nothing is off limits at this point. Talk about different weapons around different office buildings inside of a mall. A throat punch, a stapler to any here or here, growing the neck, knock them out, do whatever it is you have to do to stop them. Defend with your life. This is Lieutenant Brian Murphy. He was first officer on scene at the Sea Temple shooting here in Wisconsin back in 2012. He got shot, I believe it was 15 times. He got shot in the arms, the legs, the back, the neck. He survived and went home to his wife. It shows you that just because you're shot does not mean you die. You grab that gun to defend your life. You have a chance of getting shot? Yeah. Does that mean you're dead? No. Shot does not equal death. Virginia Tech shooting, for those of you who are not familiar with it, picture a big building, it's a school, and in that school there were 3 doors, I believe it was, that looked like what you see down at like St. Mary St. Joe's Church, big wooden doors like that. The shooter comes in and he chains those doors shut from the inside. It's going to take police a little bit longer to get in there, right? Chained from the inside, he goes and starts shooting. First room he goes into, they didn't have a chance. They just didn't. That's the result. Yellow is people shot, red is people killed. The second room he goes into, they heard the shooting. By the time they realized what it was, they tried to start shutting the door, call 911. He came in there and started shooting, and that was the result. The third room had a late denial. They started barricading. But again, took too long, he broke in, and that was the result. But you can see, he's getting flustered now. He's not taking his time shooting. Living to people dead is a lot different than the first two rooms. He's flustered, he had to break through a barricade. Now in the last two rooms, something interesting happens. This fourth room, the professor holds the door shut. He tells all the kids to jump out the second story window. They break the window, they're jumping out. 10 people jump out of that window. They survive. Gunman comes to the door, can't get through it. Can't get through it. He gets frustrated, shoots through the door, kills the professor. The door's now open. 2 more people jump out of that window. They get shot while they're doing it, and they survive. The remaining 6 people in that room, they're all shot. 4 of them survive. They tried to deny access. People survived by doing it. That's where some of this stuff is coming from. Now this last room, I can't believe these students thought of this. Picture a door right here. They know what's going on. They know the shooter's going around. Picture the lining students up on the ground, their feet up against the door, their head over here. They're stacking student on top of student on top of student up to about here. The shooter's trying to get into that door. He thinks somebody's holding it shut. He fires a couple rounds through it. He still can't get in because the students are laying down. He then gets the door open a couple inches, fires some rounds off. Nobody's shot. Nobody's killed. They denied access. After that, he goes back to the other rooms where he already shot people and continued shooting more people to make sure they're dead. The point to take away is that you're not hopeless in a situation like this, and what you do matters. Real quick, just a review of everything we talked about. Attack starts. You go to your primary exits because you've trained them. You know in your workstation where they're at. You know when you're at the mall where they're at. Restaurant, movie theater. Obviously, you know your house. You get out. If you can't get out, you deny. And once you're in deny, you look for another way out. If you can get out, you go back to avoid. If you can't get out, and it's breached, your barricade's gone, you defend, and you're defending with your life. Now, when the police arrive, we've got certain things we need to do. The first thing our priority is to stop the killing. What that means is we need to eliminate the threat. If you're bleeding out on the ground, I can't stop to help you. Because if I get shot, well, there's still a threat, and I'm the only officer in there. I'm one of 2 or 3 officers in there. I'm not helping anybody anymore. I need to move past you and take out the threat. I need to stop the killing. After we stop the killing, then we come back and we stop the dying. When we do that, we've got medical kits on us. We're doing the best we can. We have some training. We're not paramedics. We're going to probably ask for help. You and us are on our own. When we come into that room, we're going to be screaming at people, show me your hands. Probably going to have you put them up in front of your face like this, but what are we looking for? We're looking for a guy with a gun. Somebody with a gun. Show me your palms, don't move. We're yelling. We're going through those same stress responses that you guys are going through, because odds are that officer's never been in an active shooting situation before. Follow the commands. Once we get in there, we're going to say, anybody who can stand up against the wall, go move towards that wall. That separates the people who are dying or who are dead from the people who are not. We just triage the room. At that point, you and I are on our own. Still, we need your help. We might ask you to hold a bandage, help with a tourniquet, things like that, because EMS isn't coming in. If you remember the Batman shooting in Colorado at the movie theater, officers went in there, and there was a delay of finding out where the shooter was. If you remember, he was out in the parking lot. He was found a little bit later by his car, by officers, and they still weren't exactly sure it was him. EMS is trained not to come in until there's no threat. They're not trained to fight back. They're not trained to dodge bullets. They don't have the equipment for it. They waited across the street in the staging area. Officers are on the radio screaming for them to come in. People were dying. They won't come in because it's their policy. It's the way they're trained. Officers started loading people in squad cars, taking them to whatever hospitals they could to save lives. You and I are on our own in something like this. We have to work together. You can seek additional training if you want to. One thing I highly recommend is carrying a tourniquet. A couple years ago, the department did issue these to us. Officers started carrying tourniquets on them. We realized from studies being done, being trained to us, if you're shot or cut in an artery, it takes 2 minutes to bleed out. 2 minutes isn't a very long time when it comes to something like that. You can keep a tourniquet in your workstation, in your car, in your purse. In a first aid kit, you go camping, tourniquet's $7 on eBay. Nice thing to have out here. Just consider it. August 5th, 2012, the Sikh Temple shooting we talked about with Lieutenant Brian Murphy. In Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 6 people fatally shot, 4 wounded. October 21st, the Azana Spa shooting in Brookfield, Wisconsin. In 2012, 3 people fatally shot, 4 wounded. It can happen here, it has happened here, it will happen here again. Turn your fear into anger and go home to your why. Now, one of the questions I get a lot is about people who carry concealed. I don't need to know who carries concealed. It doesn't matter to me. I carry off duty. Wisconsin, a lot of people are carriers concealed now. What I want you to consider, if you're carrying concealed, then you've made the decision. I'm not going to avoid, I'm not going to deny any time. I'm going to go stop that threat. Fantastic. Remember, other officers are responding to the scene. Anybody and everybody who hears that radio call is going there, whether they're in uniform or not. All of us have guns, including you if you carry concealed. What is everybody looking for? Somebody with a gun, right? Your everybody has auditory and visual exclusion going through that stress response. Are they going to see me hold up this dinky little badge? Probably not. You even hint that there's a cop coming up on you, coming to another hallway on you, gun down, hands up. We're going to treat you like you're the bad guy because you're somebody with a gun. But consider that other people who are carrying concealed look for the same thing you are. You got to figure out a way to say that you're not the bad guy, and then figure out that they're not the bad guy. Okay? Any questions at all about anything we talked about? Yes?
Did you carry your concealed before or after you shot it?
I carried it before, and I'll be honest, at the time, I grew up in Fond du Lac. I didn't think it was necessary to carry it. Until I got on a SWAT team. My SWAT commander basically mandated that 90% of the time he wanted us carrying our weapons. After I was shot at, I carried it 90% of the time. Before that, I still really didn't, but it changed me a little bit to just open my eyes up to how things are. Any other questions? If you have questions, and some people don't want to raise their hand because we're in a group, we don't want to be outside of our norm, right? You can email me, you can call me, I'm happy to answer them. Maybe it's a question about something at work or a rule, a law, anything like that. Don't be afraid to call me, I'll be glad to help out. So, I appreciate your time. Enjoyed the air conditioning a little bit. I hear you guys work pretty hard out there, so I'm going to send you back now, I think. Right, Paul?
Yep.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.